Hey guys, welcome back. Another Unpopular Opinions in Pokemon, number 11. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into it here. Poke Ethan 22 says, I actually like Jinx. She has history and a story behind her, lol. I don't know what the lol and the actually is there for, but I agree. Jinx is a pretty cool Pokemon. Also kind of, I don't know if you call it neat or a neat fact that Jinx wasn't intended to be something racist. It wasn't supposed to be like a blackface thing. It's based on a mythical creature in Japan. So that's always good to know. Getting changed to purple. I don't know. Did it really need to happen? Maybe. I guess enough people were complaining about it that it was an issue. Azul says, not an unpopular opinion, but something that may need to be said. This hobby is sometimes taken too seriously. This is a good reminder for myself as well. I think this might be an unpopular opinion, or at least something that people don't want to hear. I think in this day and age, people need to have more patience, especially with modern product and the availability of it, with prices and everything else. People need to sit back, settle down a little bit. It's all going to be fine. Scalpers are not a real issue. At least they won't be in the long term. And if you're not looking for product on release day, there's going to be more of it to come. So just sit back, stay calm. It's going to be all right. If you're in it for the long run, you have nothing to worry about. Nickcore123 says, I like modern cards. I agree. I like modern cards as well. I don't think this is necessarily an unpopular opinion in the grand scheme of things. Most Pokemon collectors like modern. Maybe on efour or anything else where it's more vintage-based collectors and everything like that. People don't appreciate the modern stuff as much, but... Alright. Cher says, modern is better than vintage. We're going to double down on this here. I would agree that modern is better than vintage in some ways. In some ways it's not. In terms of artwork, artist selection, the backgrounds, the dynamic backgrounds, the backgrounds that are meant to be there with the Pokemon, all around, I would agree that modern is better in that aspect. Vintage is still nice that it was part of the history and should be probably, for the most part, harder to find in good condition at this point in time. Muck says, Americans are not thankful enough for their non-existent import taxes. I don't think you guys can really comprehend how much more difficult it is to build a collection when you have to pay an extra 20% on everything you buy. Plus, your stuff can get stuck at customs for 3 to 4 weeks easily sometimes. I agree, this sucks, but not much we can do about it in terms of being in a country that has import fees. It really sucks when it's something inexpensive, but it just gets over the threshold so that you have to pay like a broker fee, and it takes some getting used to with who you use for shipping and everything else and how much you purchase. So you get used to it, gotta live with it, not much you can do. But I agree, it would be pretty nice to not have to worry about import fees. I think sometimes they have broker fees in the US. If it's over a certain value, it has to be some astronomical number, it might even be like thousands or tens of thousands of dollars before there's any kind of fees to bring stuff into the country. But I'd agree. I also think it's silly to have taxes or anything on used goods, and when it's items that aren't really competing with anything that you can buy in your own country. Alright, so here we have waifu cards should not be put on a pedestal. I think it's creepy how much people like them, considering that most of these characters are underage. I don't think you necessarily need to want to do naughty things to these cards to like the trainer cards, the full art trainer cards, and maybe just stick to the like Cynthia's and Zinnias or something. If you're worried about getting caught with a lily or something. Silent Oaths Says Charizard is cool looking and all, but by far the worst Gen 1 starter. Venusaur is a walk in the park for the first 3 gym leaders, and Growlithe can be picked up before gym number 4, along with a plethora of other great choices for a lineup, I guess, in terms of fire Pokemon later on. I definitely wouldn't agree that it's by far the worst Gen 1 starter. And maybe you're taking into account more of the actual ability to play through the game than some other people are. I mean, depends. I know my brother usually likes to pick his favorite Pokemon tend to be the most powerful in the video games. So it might be something along those lines. Although I guess if you're using them in the game, maybe you grow attached to them. I don't think anyone is picking Charizard or Charmander necessarily for the ease of playing through the early game or speedrunning by any means. All right, deleted member says, besides Steam, Crimson Invasion, Siege, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a combination of those sets, Steam, Siege, Crimson Invasion, or just the 2 sets together, I guess. I hate that there is no Squirtle from Evolutions, and we all know Glurak makes $$ for the company, like Machamp's Path. I guess that's supposed to be Champion's Path, the play on there with the Machamps in it that you always get, because those small sets always give you a holo, and there's only so many holos, so you're going to end up with a lot of Machamps, just like you're going to end up with a lot of all the other holos. Kind of why I don't like those sets where it's all chase, and the main part of the set is too small. I didn't spend a cent into it, and it feels good. Good. If you don't like a set, don't buy it. So I don't know. It was a little bit weird. I got good news for you. The 25th anniversary has a Blastoise, so you can get that. All 3 starters are there. It is kind of weird that they excluded Blastoise from that, but I mean, a lot of this X and Y stuff, there was Blastoise EX, Mega EX in X and Y, and then Sun and Moon. I think it was only later on in Sun and Moon where there was a Blastoise GX. But yeah, I don't know. If you're going all the way back to X and Y, the Kantos certainly got lots of printings there. So I don't know. Maybe there'll be Evolutions too, and it'll only have Blastoise. Doubt it, but you never know. LC Legendary Collection has the best reverse holos in the TCG. To be honest, like, who doesn't like fireworks? I don't know. There's probably some people that don't want fireworks. Those holos or reverse holos were busy. I think they're special for what they are. I don't think I'd want to see them in every single set, or even in another set. I think they kind of look like those stickers that you put the coin in the machine and you push it forward, kind of like those pay washer and dryers, and sticker comes out. Wish the old WotC sets that never got printed were printed. Yeah, I agree. So there's some cards that we didn't get, and it's always sort of a pain. If I was ever going to collect Japanese cards, it would be those cards that we didn't get. But what can you do? Those I guess they're not really WotC sets at that point, if WotC wasn't WotCing anymore. Can see Pokemon reprinting another WotC set but stuffing it up like they did with Evolutions. Probably. There was a lot of people predicting that they would do the Neos or something of that sort, or maybe even like Jungle Fossil for this 25th anniversary. I wouldn't put it past them to reprint and maybe buff the numbers so that they kind of fit with the current stuff in a similar fashion to Evolutions. I don't think anything else has the power that base set does, but you never know. Maybe they'll print the rest of base set and they'll go into like Jungle Fossil or something eventually. No sign of that yet, but you never know. And then the celebrations, like textured reprints, which are throughout all eras and include some of the base set. Ganosha says, PSA 9, 10 holo set collectors ain't real collectors. They take the easy way on the goals by skipping the hard to obtain PSA 9 to 10 common trainer cards. This is probably a lot to do with the fact that everyone has to set goals at some point. Maybe they only want to put so much money or time into collecting. a set. Maybe they only like the hollows. Maybe they want to move on to another set of the hollows from another set rather than collect the non-hollows. I completely understand that. It's not how I like to collect. I'd much rather have the complete set than have a graded set, and that kind of gives me means to get onto other sets and to collect all the sets in English. Even then, that's a crazy goal in itself, and is kind of preventing me from collecting some of the Japanese stuff that I would like to have. If I had unlimited time and funds to put into it, that's where it would go next, in the Japanese exclusive stuff. Double Felix 921. I guess this is supposed to be a play on Double Helix. We got the boys here. Unpopular opinion. I don't really care about PSA cards insofar as I can keep my cards in good condition. I like them the best in a binder, except for some in the rarest cards if they merit a 10. I have a full base set, first edition, jungle first, fossil first, all in PSA 8 through 10 quality in a simple binder. Some of them used to be slab 9s but were cracked, so I did sort of the same thing. Typically not cracking PSA 9 base set cards. At the point when I was obtaining these, the 9s were still pretty expensive, and if it's an 8, I'm happy with it. Even a very clean 7, great. Why not crack them, put them in your binder? I disagree with the keeping them in good condition. I think if they're properly sleeved and bindered and stored in a climate controlled area, then you're fine, and probably even better off than if they're in the slab. Sure, it has the rigidity to it, but at the same time, moisture and sunlight can damage something in a PSA or CGC or BGS case all the same. So just because they're slab doesn't make them safe forever, invincible. People seem to not understand that. For my binder collection, I really care about the condition of the hollows. They must be pristine. I was surprised to find that even PSA 9s were far from the standards I have for my binder hollows. For this reason, it was really difficult to assemble this collection. Yeah, so the more picky you are, the harder it is. I find cards all the time that don't quite meet the standards that I want for my binder, which sucks because I'd love to fill those holes. At first, I was putting them in upside down if they didn't meet the condition requirement that I set for myself, which is basically if it looks like it came from a pack, I'm happy with it. You know, with the odd exception of when you get stuff that comes from the pack and it's damaged already. So anything like a PSA 8, I think, is a beautiful card and doesn't need to be any better than that. And at that point, you're just, you know, how often are you gonna take it out and look at the back and check to see if there's a little white dot on the corner? Currently, they are in deck protectors and an Ultra Pro binder. I am considering now whether I need to be more careful given the insane increase in prices we have seen. So, yeah, I think there was some advice after that. If you're going to perfect fit stuff, use the KMCs. And if you're going to perfect fit, I would say that you definitely should be double sleeving because it makes the corners a little bit vulnerable if you drop them or whatever. Otherwise, just a regular, clean, brand new penny sleeve is great in a ringless binder. My biggest investment is in base set Hitmon chains, item finders, and super energy removals. I did that because I think that base jungle fossil format is really fun, and those were the best cards. I think that someday this format will become popular again, and these cards would be hard to get. So, I don't know. There's not really a huge market for vintage formats. It's certainly a thing, and the price of some cards certainly reflect that, but sort of a niche thing, even though you can see the impact that it has when people are looking for those playable cards to make old decks. There aren't many people that do it, but there are people that do it, and when they do, they eat up the supply on those particular playable cards. Gus, it is okay to sell things for the last sold. Not every friggin' card needs to sell for higher than last sold. I would agree. It can be, you could sell for less or more, depending a lot on whether or not that last sold price was justifiable or not. Sometimes it could go for a steal or a deal. Sometimes it could be overpriced and it's just the only one on the market at the time, or someone just overpaid for it because they just wanted it more than they wanted the money. Shiny cards, collectible. All right, this might be Collectibles Guru, either that or maybe his like brother or something. Shiny card says Collectibles Guru is actually a really great guy and good for the community. People just jump on the bandwagon against him because of the money, but actually has genuine interest in Pokemon and even named his dog after Giovanni. Again, I don't think this is necessarily saying that he has that much interest in Pokemon. I think he's more interested in showing off something that's expensive, as you'll see from every picture that he takes that has his watch or a car, or even in the videos where they're done making a deal with all the money and he can't wait to like grab the money and take 100 pictures with the stacks of money. It's just, he just wants to showboat. And you could say like the 30k Bulbasaur I think is brought up here. That's just him not necessarily knowing. You got him showing up to an opening with only top loaders and no penny sleeves, and he's jamming them in the top loaders. Purple energy. He doesn't know what a psychic energy is. I would say that he's 100% just more interested in flexing Pokemon. While it's the hot new thing, he's a pump and dump specialist, you might say. Whatever's hot, whatever's going to get him clicks and likes and attention is what he's going to go after. Most of the stuff that he's taking pictures with is probably not even his. If he's middlemaning a deal or whatever, and he wants to take pictures with the stacks of money, or I'm sure if he sees an expensive car, he's right there ready to pose next to it. So most of those people that are taking those pictures and showing that stuff off don't actually have that stuff. Or if he has it, it's probably a very temporary thing. So here he gave away stuff. I can assure you that he gave away stuff in order to benefit himself. He wasn't doing this out of the goodness of his own heart. 0 scam reports. I don't know, like the story with the whole scam thing, it never really got cleared up and none of it lines up. So if you want to be mad at Pay Money Wubby for making fun of him and saying that he's a scammer, gotta disagree. He's nothing lined up at all with the phone call and the story behind how the box was obtained and everything else. So whether or not it was him that had the scam box or someone else was scamming and he was covering for it, I don't know. It's all sketchy all over. Him claiming that those like cereal Pikachus that came in every pack were the next expensive card that was going to hit just because he had one. He's a pumper and a dumper, and as soon as the market dies down in Pokemon, I wouldn't be surprised if he completely stops having anything to do with it. He'll move on to the next thing. That's just what he is. Oh yeah, helping the true collectors. So I don't know, and not to mention all this stupid shit he said in like DMs and whatever, insulting people because they're the poor. Just not a good person. Micro Gypsy, upgraded raw binder looks better than a bunch of slabs. I would agree. I don't know what you mean by upgraded raw binder, but certainly a binder of cards. It looks better than slabs, and it's much more fun to look through than taking out boxes and boxes of plastic holders and looking through them. Caught at Point says a couple on this New Year's Day. So does he mean to go on Sati? Psyduck is a very good Pokemon, and the anime just did him dirty. Yeah, I'd say that the anime made him look a little bit clumsy or doofy. Certainly a thing. Speaking strictly about the Holos, Neo Genesis is the worst Neo set. I'll double down on Neo Gen and say the T18 has better artwork than T17. I'm not crazy about Typhlosion T17 or T18. I have them both, but I don't know. They're I get if you're a big Typhlosion fan and these are the first Typhlosions that we saw in English, why you'd really like them. T17 being harder to grade and everything else, so I guess that's a selling feature. Quichancy says, a related unpopular opinion. I don't understand why T17 is considered the Typhlosion rookie card. There are two Typhlosions in the same set, so it's hard to classify either as a true rookie. But if I had to pick one, T18 has the Sugimori art and was part of the Japanese Neo Premium file that was sold before the release of Gen 2 to the West through those TV ads. So the first appearance of Typhlosion here in USA was T18. Not to mention the file introduced the entire starter line, and they explicitly chose to use T18. End of the day, the exact specifics don't really matter over preference. Even 52 Manto was technically not his rookie card, but Pokemon first appearance, I lean towards T18. I don't know if I don't think necessarily the T17 thing has anything to do with it being rookie. I guess they're both rookies, but people prefer the T17 because it's hard to grade and then it's more valuable, and just kind of snowballs from there. I don't usually hear many people refer to one or the other as more rookie or less rookie, but you never know. Niche says, Sun and Moon was fantastic and there's no actual real reason why most people dislike it. Overprinting isn't a reason to hate something, and weird Pokemon applies to every gen. I'd agree that Sun and Moon was pretty great, especially towards the end. The hyper rares of the rainbows were awesome. I think they should have ended in Sun and Moon. I think they're overplayed now, especially in Sword and Shield, where they're not really necessary with those alternate arts. The tag teams were awesome. What else? The character rares. I really hope the character rares come back. Those were absolutely amazing. And just, I don't know. I like that generation in general. The characters. The anime took a little bit of a getting used to with the art style being so different. But I don't know. It's definitely one of my favorite generations. And the cards were pretty awesome throughout. I think the set sizes were pretty good too. Up until the end there, it started to grow and get a little out of control. And now we're still seeing that in the Sword and Shield era. A little bit tough for us set collectors. But, you know, what can you do? Hopefully they'll dial it back a little bit. I'd like for my sets to fit in a 360 card binder. If you could just bring it back down to just under that, and then enough room at the back for the variants, that'd be perfect size, I think. Muck says, I don't really understand all the fuzz about Special Delivery Pika. It's neat, and if you like it, that's awesome and all, but I personally don't view it as vastly superior to most of the 100 plus other Pikachu promos from 2020. America doesn't care about my feelings though, and that's okay. So no one cared about Special Delivery Pikachu until they didn't have any left, and then panic set in and people kept, you know, jumping on the Special Delivery Pikachu. I had a bunch of them just because I got some t-shirts, and well, why not? You're gonna get some promos, but yeah, I think that's a little FOMO-esque there on the Special Delivery Pikachu, especially right when it jumped up in price, because you never know if they were going to release more. It's less likely at this point that they're going to put more out, but at the same time, never know. Special Delivery Pikachu may make a comeback. Quichancy says, modern over trophy cards in terms of art quality. Also, the Special Delivery Pikachu was a different release type, so I think that kind of built it up too after people realized that there were none left. Everyone complains that they ran out and didn't have a chance to get one, but it was on there for quite some time. You had lots of time, and at that point, the Pokemon Center online was not breaking like it is now with anything that's put up there that people are after. Immediately, you get banned for being a bot when you're trying to refresh to log out or to check out with some stuff in your cart. Quichancy says, modern over trophy cards in terms of art quality. I would 100% agree. I mean, modern over anything vintage. The artwork just keeps getting better and better. The variety in the art, the amount that's put into the art, and a lot of it is the same artists, and they just have more put into it. Whether or not they improved as an artist, which is likely. Some have changed. Some would argue for the better or worse, but yeah, even some of the commons and uncommons are a lot nicer than the vintage stuff, just because the background matches up with the Pokemon. It's not just draw the Pokemon, put it on a random psychedelic or background that doesn't really fit. Most comments from the last few sets are better looking than cards like Victory Orb, World's Pikas, rare promos like Master Scroll, Crap. I would agree. Blue Label Mew says all the people buying hundreds of copies of Charizard Illustrator will have trouble selling them. I think this actually happened. I don't know if this was before or after they put out more of them, but there was like an influx of them. I think it's still in the long term going to be a good card. I think they were down to like $10 or something, which is pretty crazy for Charizard. But you never know. All right. King Boo 64 black and white hollow pattern was amazing and the most original and unique pattern since EX series. Well, King Boo, I get good news for you. This is January 15, 21, but the Sword and Shield hollow pattern is the same thing but rotated. OG Price Gouge True Scalp Guru says not a fan of Skyridge yet. Haha. This got some people upset. I mean, if you don't like Skyridge now, you're probably never going to like it. And I think they were going on about how they didn't really like the art, which would be truly an unpopular opinion. Rip Guy Fox says reverse hollows should be discontinued and in its place the first edition should be reintroduced, basically reversing the major change in expansion structure made in Legendary Collection. So this, I don't know, this doesn't work with the size of sets currently. With the rarity of some of the secret rares and everything else, it would have to be completely restructured. I think the only way that a first edition stamp makes sense is to have a consistent percentage of the run, but at the same time that kind of limits how much they can reprint unless they have a certain number, and they always stick to that number, and then they can print an unlimited version as many times as they want because that seems to be what they do. Also, just comparing back to like base set, not many people cared if they had first edition or not. They just wanted the cards. I don't think that would be the same case now. You'd have people fighting over and hoarding all the first edition stuff, and then everyone else maybe not wanting the unlimited. So I don't think it's a good business decision, and I don't think it works with today's age and size of sets. If you want to go back to the 12 hollows in a set, or 12 hollows in the box, and the hollows of the chase, and you don't have many more than a couple boxes to collect the entire set, I think that works. But even then, like, first edition base wasn't a thing here. It wasn't a thing across most of the country. See a little bit of the later sets like your Fossil and your Jungle and stuff like that that'll pop up in first edition, but the print runs for those first edition cards were much larger. I don't know. I think first edition would be stupid at the current time. I think it's dead. British Bidoof Corporation says, unpopular opinions. I guess one of mine is that I see collecting entire sets when the entire motivation is just to own the complete set as daft, whether it be full master set or set of Neo Genesis Hollows and PSA 10, etc. Well, there's the motivation to complete the set, but also you're allowed to like the entire set as a whole. It doesn't mean that you're going to like every single card as much as every other card in the set. You're going to have your favorites, but liking a set as a whole is doesn't have to be the entire motivation. Even if you like 95% of the cards and there's a few that you're not really keen on, you can still like the set. There's also a certain aspect or fun part in completion, so it doesn't have to be the entire motivation. I don't think anyone's entirely motivated by set only. There's no one that's like, oh, I like this one card, so I'm going to collect the other 200 cards in the set just for set completion. If you pay good money for a card but don't enjoy it as an individual piece, having only bought it for completion's sake, you're going through the motions and ticking boxes. Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know why you're paying good money for a card that you don't like. Typically, if you're collecting an entire set and the expensive cards in there, if you don't like the expensive cards in the set, why are you completing the set, or why are you collecting the set? But yeah, all right, let's see. We have William Kuhlman, who says sets are better than individual cards. I would agree. I don't know if this is an unpopular, but there are certainly a lot of individual card collectors and there are a lot of set collectors, so I'm on the set side of things. And last but not least, William Koolman has another one here. It says, okay, I've got a better one. Card grading is having an overall negative impact on card collecting. I think it is. I think people are placing too much value on graded cards in general, and getting things graded that don't necessarily need to be graded, especially when the cost of grading is more than the card. I think that's a point when you don't grade the cards, even if you really like graded cards, unless it's your favorite Pokemon, in which case, and you know you're throwing the money away to put it in a plastic slab. But yeah, I think card grading in general is overrated at the moment, with the backlogs, with the price and everything else. A lot of people were and are treating it as free money to grade something and it come back, but you never know. You might end up with a dip in the market, and by the time your card comes back, you overpaid for the grading, you got upcharged, and now the card is worth less than had you just sold it raw. So be aware, be knowledgeable on it if you're going to grade cards. Know what you're getting into. Also, the other grading companies that are popping up, just know that that's probably just going to be junk slabs, along with all this inexpensive stuff that's getting graded that wasn't worth grading before the pandemic. That's it. That's all. Have a good day, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Join the Discord. See you next time.